All right, hey, Vikings fans, welcome in to another episode of the Skol Hop. I'm Evan.
And I'm Austin.
We're just a couple of dudes from Iowa. We like drinking beer, talking about the Vikings.
Of course we do. But this week, I think we maybe spent a little bit too much time talking about other teams than the Vikings. Teams that were actually in the conference championship games, but I think that's okay.
And we also spent probably an obnoxious amount of time talking about referees and the future of calling NFL games, which I actually think we had some pretty insightful conversations about that.
Yeah, the future is bright. But in the meantime, we tried a really good sour from Big Grove Brewery. And that's kind of saying something because neither of us are really sour fans.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it for sure. And then we also spent a little bit of time at the very end talking about how awesome the future quarterback one of the Vikings is.
Yeah, we love JJ. He's pretty great.
He's a good dude. So.
Yep. So grab a cold one. Join us. Skol.
Skol.
And it's gift, no J.
All right, we are going to give just a quick shout out to today's sponsor, Big Top Ventures. Thanks, Big Top, for helping us out today. If you're looking to take an all-inclusive vacation to Mexico or Jamaica, we're going to put their email down here. It's bigtopventuresllc@gmail.com. Send them an email. Let them know what you're hoping to do in either Mexico or Jamaica, and they'll get back to you. And chances are they'll hook you up with a pretty sweet rate to take an all-inclusive to one of those two places. So check them out. Step right up to your next big adventure. And thanks for sponsoring us, Big Top.
Yeah, thanks, Big Top. I saw a tweet today. I think it was originally an Instagram post of Will the Thrill.
Will the Thrill
on the beach in Cancun. I highly doubt he went through Big Top Ventures, but if he would have, he probably would have saved some money. There's quite a few Bills players and
Commanders
players that could probably use the services of Big Top. So, yeah, I mean, if any of you players are listening, I don't know why you'd listen to a Vikings podcast or anything football related at all right now. But yeah, go ahead and check out Big Top Ventures.
Yeah. Good rates, I hear.
You know what else is good?
What's that?
Beer.
Beer is good.
And stuff.
You brought the beer tonight.
I did bring the beer.
I'm excited for this because I've seen it and I've wanted to try it. But here we are.
Yeah, so I picked this beer out solely for two reasons. One, it is a Big Grove Brewery beer. We like Big Grove a lot. Obviously, I don't think we've said it in a while on the show, but we do have our rule of, on the show, Iowa-only beers.
Yep.
We did almost kind of break that rule a few weeks ago with the Before I Die from Surly. But that wasn't the main beer of the episode, so...
We were pre-gaming.
Yeah. Friend of the show, Forrest, we were pre-gaming. It wasn't... It wasn't the main beer of the episode, okay? This one is the main beer of the episode. Big Grove Brewery's Into the Woods. It's a blackberry and raspberry sour. On the side, it says it's a Kettle sour with lactose, raspberries, and blackberries. Evan, they do have a little description. Do you want to read that? Do you want me to read that?
I'll read it.
All right.
So it says, raspberries and blackberries give a natural tart, fruity zing, while lactose provides an ideal body to this delectable seasonal treat. Originally brewed in collaboration with Copper Kettle Brewery. Grab a can of this perfect Kettle sour and head into the woods. Yeah. We both kind of admitted, too, we don't really know much about Kettle sours, the style of beer. I've heard of it. I just don't know much about it. So
if I've heard of it, I've forgotten about it. So, yeah, I said two reasons I picked this up. One, it's a Big Grove beer. Two, the can's pretty cool, and it kind of reminds me of the Minnesota Wild with like a red sky and like green trees and stuff. Mm-hmm. So, and apparently also Into the Woods is the name of a musical.
It is. Yeah.
I'm not a musical guy, but
I'm not either.
I haven't seen it. So, but let's crack these open. You already cracked yours open. Let's give these a try. I'm excited. I wouldn't normally grab a sour. And honestly, if the can didn't look this cool, I would not have grabbed this one. But yeah, Big Grove, whoever designs your cans.
I like how you moved on really quickly from your statement of I'm not a musical guy, but let's not forget that you were in a musical.
You don't need to say that, dude.
You were in a musical in high school.
Prove it.
And I was not.
Prove it. I was only in it because of you, Ev.
I walk by a picture of you in the cast photo every day on my way to work.
Prove it. Picture it didn't happen.
All right, I'm going to take the picture tomorrow when I get to work, and I will post it everywhere.
You know what's funny? Have I told you the story about my son and that photo?
No.
Okay, so really quick before we give this beer review. Yes, I was goaded into auditioning for the High School Musical in high school, and Evan said he would show up for auditions as well. He never did.
I don't remember saying I would show up.
I only went to auditions because you said you were going to show up. Anyways, that's not the point of the story.
I was peer pressured probably just as much, if not more, than you were. Okay. And I was pretty adamant. I don't sing or dance.
Well, I may have done both of those things. So I made the show because every guy who auditioned made the show because they were desperate for every guy. It's not that I have a good singing voice. Believe me, you couldn't hear me if you attended those shows. And they take a cast. Every show takes a cast photo, and Evan may or may not be associated with the high school that we attended, and that cast photo is still hanging up in the hallway. My wife also may or may not be associated with the school district. So I was at that building a couple of years ago with my then 3-year-old son. And he was kind of throwing a fit in the event that we were watching. And so I took him out in the hallway, and he pointed at the wall and said, "Dad," or "Daddy," or "Dada," whatever he said. I was like, "What?" And I look over, and there's the High School Musical cast photo. And I don't remember this. Apparently, when they took that photo, I'm like front and center.
You're like, you are very much, you're there. Like, if you know who you are, you can find you in that picture very quickly.
Right in the middle, towards the front, like almost to the point that if you knew nothing about that show, you would assume that I had some kind of an important part. No, I was just the background dude, one of many background dudes. But yeah, I had no idea that photo was hanging in there, but my 2-3-year-old son randomly saw me from probably a handful of feet away and said, "Dad." And I don't look drastically different.
You have a beard now.
I look pretty different than I did in high school. I'm a little bit larger, and I do have some more facial hair. And it's surprising that he pointed me out there. But thanks, Evan, for outing me. And I guess I dove headfirst into this whole story. So
you did, because you brought up the fact that Into the Woods is a musical.
Yeah, which that's not the musical that I may or may not have been in. So
let's try the beer.
Into the Woods from Big Grove. I'm noticing you kind of said it before we started recording. You said it'd probably be like a red, purpley color, and it kind of is.
It is for sure.
Yeah, it's I'm trying to land on what this color actually is.
It's like a fuchsia.
Sure.
Magenta. Yeah. It's definitely got like red and purple. It's kind of a mix of those two things. Mm-hmm. It's very fruity. Like, you can smell the fruit coming off of it. You can also smell just the like sour vibe of it. So I'm definitely thinking it's going to be a sour, not like a like easy mellow. Mm-hmm. The lactose may help a little bit. Yep. We'll find out. But
if you're watching on YouTube or Spotify, go ahead and comment and tell us which one had the better pour, just judging on who has the better head retention on this thing.
Mine's very flat at this point. So,
but yeah, let's give it a try. Into the Woods, Big Grove, Skol.
Skol. All right. It's not too bad, actually, in terms of the like tartness.
It's definitely a sour.
The lactose does help.
Yeah, I think so. It quickly is very tart, but then also quickly mellows out. Yeah,
it hits you quickly, but then I mean, the aftertaste is very smooth, almost like vanilla-y almost.
We had a smoothie sour not too long ago.
A couple weeks ago, yeah.
This kind of reminds me of that a little bit. It's kind of given me some like smoothie vibes. Definitely fruity.
Yep.
I don't mind this. It's not the category I would immediately reach for. But like, if somebody handed me one, or if I saw it on a good deal, I absolutely would grab this beer again. I don't mind it. It probably tastes a lot better too on tap as well. So I don't want to sound like I don't like it. I like it a lot, but
I don't want to take anything away from Big Grove or this really great beer, but I've seen this beer on the shelf at our local Hy-Vee, and maybe I'll flash a picture up here of. I think I'm going to get this next week. We're going to dive into this.
This one, or you're talking about a different beer?
A different one. It is Reunion's Mega Cake Stupid Dessert Sour.
Well, yeah. I mean,
so I think,
are we entering our sour era?
We might be.
All right. Well, I'm sorry for starting that.
Well, we've also tried like every other Iowa beer that we can get our hands on, so we gotta expand our horizons a little bit.
I have been noticing our Hy-Vee is starting to get a sprinkle of different types of beers. Yep. I think breweries at this point, maybe it's because, I mean, we're almost 2 years into this Skol hop stuff. Maybe that's just the cycle. Every couple of years, they start putting out different stuff. I know for a fact, No Coast, who we had last week,
yep.
They said that they're going to be starting to kind of cycle out some of their older ones and cycle in, I think they said like 8 to 10 new beers. So shout out No Coast. If you're listening, we'd love to try those as well.
Absolutely.
I hope they don't get rid of those nitros.
Those were all really good. Every single one that we tried was super good. All three of them, I think, if I remember right, there were 3.
But yeah, this Into the Woods, I really like it. I've had 2 sips so far. I can't wait to give a full review once we've finished a couple of them. But yeah, I mean, I feel like I would definitely seek this out now. A few minutes ago, I was saying, yeah, I'd take one if it were free. But no, I mean, I like it. There's nothing wrong with this.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It's refreshing. It's fruity. Easy to drink. It's not like so sour that you pucker your lips every sip that you take. So,
and 6.2%. It's not a lightweight, but also, I mean, we're going to have a couple tonight and feel perfectly fine tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah. That's always the goal for me anyways.
Oh, yeah.
I think this is a good chance to just quickly mention the fact that Purple Punishments, we're done for the year.
Probably.
No, definitely.
You never know when
done until the regular season of 2025 starts.
True. Yeah.
So
with all that in mind, listeners, comment, send us an email, do whatever you got to do. Tell us in person if you know us. Give us some ideas for Purple Punishments. We had a good list this year, but I feel like it could be improved.
Yeah.
Truth be told, I kind of took that idea we kind of morphed it originally from like Dude Perfect's Wheel Unfortunate. And some of those are like own a cat and like get braces. Like we can't really do anything extreme like that because we want to be able to pay it off right on the episode. But yeah, if you got a good idea about something we can pay off right on the episode, obviously we have veto power. We're not just going to accept and hold anything that is sent to us. So none of us are going to like get a face tattoo or something like that. But yeah, we're open to any ideas. Yeah. Otherwise, it's just us looking up on the internet what's good. So
yeah, for sure. Go easy on us, please. I mean, the Vikings already they're tough on us. Yeah. They make our lives rough, doing a podcast and all about them. But, you know, it is what it is. And we subject ourselves to these things.
Yeah. For you guys, for you, the listener, I do the cinnamon challenge because I thought it was entertaining.
You did get your wish. I did wax my legs.
Yep.
And I waxed twice as much as you did.
And your legs are probably still smooth. I know for a fact. Yeah. I mean, I'm feeling my 2 spots right now, and they're still smooth.
Very smooth.
And that was what,
like a month ago?
Yeah.
Mine was like 2 weeks ago. Ish.
Not even like just over a week ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. It was this previous, not this most recent Saturday, but the one before.
Yeah. So like 8, 9 days.
Yeah.
10
days. We keep saying it. They're not a sponsor, but Nair, oh my goodness. They provided a good waxing experience. So if you're looking for anything.
And the calves weren't too bad.
Yeah.
The inside was worse than the outside, I would say.
I think somebody commented somewhere, Facebook, YouTube, or whatever, and said you should do your armpits. So I don't know. I would do it. I'd do my armpits. That would, oh man, that'd be awful, but.
That would hurt. All right. Well, that's going to be on the wheel for next year.
Not wax a limb, wax your armpits.
Yes.
All right. If it's on the wheel, you're subject to it as well.
That's true. All right. It's going on the wheel. It's on there right now.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, listener, who commented that.
I would just like to point out, I avoided waxing a limb when it was on the wheel.
You did.
It wasn't until we were at the live event at River Ridge for the Manstreams on Tap live event that I chose to subject myself to that.
I peer pressured you into it.
A little bit.
You could have kept saying no,
little
but
bit.
I also didn't let it die. So
And
I'm kind of apologizing
We
for that.
mutually agreed that would be the punishment for missing the trivia at the live event.
Yeah.
So,
and I would have done it again, but
you did better in trivia than I did. So I need to pick harder questions.
Yeah.
And you need to pick easier questions.
Yeah. Maybe we'll release that at some point.
I was surprised you knew that the Vikings played a game in Tokyo, Japan. I didn't know that. That's so, that just blew my mind. I didn't even know that they played NFL games in Japan.
Well,
in
it was
the 90s.
a preseason game.
Yeah, but still.
Yeah. You never know what's up here, man, especially about the purple and gold.
You certainly surpass my knowledge.
Just
on most things.
random knowledge. It's nothing I'll actually use. I mean, it only ever benefited me by not making me wax a limb
in front of a crowd of 100 people.
Yeah, maybe. That was a really fun event.
Yeah.
Shout out Mainstream. They put on a good event. Yeah, let us know if you want us to post out some of the content we got there. So we're yelling at each other in the podcast, but because we couldn't really hear each other
at all.
But it was fun. I loved hanging out with those guys and seeing all the other podcasts and drinking some good beer from River Ridge.
Yes. Yeah. Super good beer for sure. All right. Well, I figured we could quickly recap the AFC and NFC conference championships. Not that I really want to sit here and talk about other football teams, but there's more football being played and two teams won, and they will play each other in a game that I probably won't watch much of.
Yeah, and I will.
I know you will. I don't care.
I'd be interested to know how many people, when their favorite team, if they are as big of a fan of one team as we are, when their favorite team isn't in it, when they had a good year. I mean, the Vikings had a good year, 14-3, regular season. Honestly, late in the season, I was thinking, it probably won't happen, but they're not, unrealistic to make it all the way to the big game. I'd be interested to know how many diehard fans like us end up still watching the playoffs and or, obviously the Super Bowl once their team is out. I'd venture to say there's probably a lot of Bills fans right now who won't be too excited to watch it. A lot of Commanders fans won't be too excited. Horrible, awful, terrible Lions fans, they'll probably just hate watch it and say, we could have beat the Chiefs, because I did see that on Twitter today. So,
oh man, we should have put that in our Skol Patrol.
It's not worth it. But yeah, it would be interesting to know how many people still watch it, because it is a social event.
And I have plans to go watch it with other people, and it'll be on, but I'm not going to sit there and be so engrossed with the game that I'm not socializing with other people. And I think I told you this earlier before we started recording, but I might be all right, cool. Go team. They scored. Good job. I'm not even really interested in the halftime show. Most other years I'd be at least remotely interested in the halftime show, just to oh, okay. Who's performing? Oh, cool. Rihanna came out. She's 4 months pregnant. That's interesting. I wonder what people are going to say about that. But
just that. There you go. You recapped that whole halftime show.
Yeah. I just don't care this year. Kendrick Lamar is not a draw for me. Don't care.
You could have given me 1,000 guesses, and I probably wouldn't have gotten it right.
It's Kendrick Lamar. And he's already been in the Super Bowl halftime show. He was in it 3 years ago when it was Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg, and they had a bunch of other people on there, and he had his own little moment. So, I don't know. I don't get it. I think he's the one that does the song, They're Not Like Us, and that was the theme song for anybody that played any sort of sport this year. Okay. And I think that's why they picked him.
Interesting. Yeah, I've never been a big halftime show guy. I know there's people that don't follow football, and they'll watch the Super Bowl for two things: the halftime show and the commercials. I mean, I'm watching the game, so I definitely watch the commercials. So I'm entertained by those, but it's not if they banned entertaining commercials, there's probably a lot of people that would not watch the game at all. Because why?
Oh, for sure.
My experience wouldn't change at all if they made the halftime show actually like the Puppy Bowl or whatever it is, like I wouldn't care either way. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm in the minority. Maybe most people enjoy the halftime show. I've never cared. It's almost annoying how much people do care. But I guess I don't want to yuck people's yums. It's probably annoying to a lot of people that I care about the Vikings so much. So,
I don't find that annoying at all. In fact,
it probably benefits both of us that we both like the Vikings.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the Vikings are not. They weren't playing this last weekend. They will not be in the Super Bowl this year. The Eagles beat the Commanders. What do you think? Did you watch that game?
I watched a good portion of it. I turned it off towards the end because it was just out of control. Yeah. Like the Eagles were just steamrolling them at the end. And for a while it was close. And for a while the Commanders just kept hanging in there. They had that fake punt early on in the game.
Yeah, that was cool.
Which was awesome to see. I think they went for it on 4th down a couple of times and converted, which was like, all right, they're hanging in there. This is great. At least they're going to go down and put up a good fight. And then it just got so out of control. It's tough to beat a team when you've got a quarterback that can score on his legs and the league's leading rusher that can score 3 touchdowns on his legs as well.
And a cheat code of a play in the tush push. And I'm probably one of the few people that I don't mind it. Like, I'm not mad about the tush push. It's one of those, like, it's currently legal. And if you're good at it, just stop it if you don't like it. So the Eagles have found the perfect formula for that. And I'm here for it. Like, if you're within the rules, go for it.
What do you think of, because I'm sure you watched when they were at the goal line and the Commanders kept jumping off sides. Yeah. And then I don't even remember who officiated that game. Do you remember who the lead official was for that game? I don't remember either. But he said, I think after they did it 2 or 3 times, he told everybody, live and on TV, that if the Commanders did it again, the officials have the authority to award points to the Eagles. Yeah. Because the Eagles it was a, 1st and goal, 2nd and goal, 3rd and goal from the 1, and they just kept inching the ball a little bit closer to the goal line every time the Commanders committed a penalty. And I think the last time they did it, it was actually a personal foul, because he said if it happens again, it will be a 15-yard personal foul, which like 15 yards doesn't mean anything when it's 1st and goal from the 1 or 3rd and goal from the 1. But the personal foul
is a part of the equation to eject somebody.
Right. So, but who do you eject? Like the one player that jumped off sides?
I think they kept calling it specifically on Frankie Louvu, the linebacker, who was the one like launching himself over a la Troy Polamalu. Sure. So I think it would have been on him. I don't know your thoughts. We haven't really talked about this. I'm okay with the refs upholding, because at that moment they're just upholding the game. Like, I think the rule was like totally, like, I forget the name of the rule. It's like palpably unfair or something like that. And that's what they would have called to award the score if they would have had to. I'm glad they didn't end up getting to the point where the refs are like, all right, by rule, touchdown Eagles. Yeah. And I'm glad the points were scored on the field rather than via penalty. I also don't mind what the Commanders were doing. Like, yeah, they were getting penalized, but like they're still fighting for it.
They had nothing to lose, I think. Like, that's kind of my perspective. I think Dan Quinn was just kind of telling his guys, like, you guys, you have nothing to lose. Yeah. They can't call a 15-yard penalty on you because it's at the half-yard line. Yep. So try to get a beat on Hurts' cadence and just go for him. Yeah. And if you get it, great. And if you don't, be what it is. And then, like, even if they did end up going to the point where the refs were awarding points, even if the Eagles hadn't rightfully earned those points by getting the ball in the end zone, I still think Dan Quinn is like a good coach for telling his guys, like, they were probably going to score anyways. So at least we can say we tried. That's my perspective on it.
I couldn't agree more.
I think it's a really good coaching move on the defensive side of the ball, and just knowing the rules of the game and knowing, like, there's nothing they can do to us that they haven't already done. Like, just rack up the penalties, whatever.
Yep.
Obviously you don't want to see a guy rack up a personal foul and then risk getting ejected, especially if he's a really good defender. Yeah. That's maybe the only thing that you have to lose in that moment. But other than that, like, I think both coaches played it really well, and it was just kind of a chess match. Like, who's going to bend? Who's going to break? Who's going to just, let this thing happen.
And I'll add, I think, I agree. I think both coaches played it well. I also think the refs played it well too. It wasn't like out of nowhere they just said, okay, you've done it twice, touchdown Eagles. They just said, like, everybody's been warned and we're announcing it to the world. And even right before the ref announced that, who was it calling the game? Was it Brady?
Yeah, it was Brady and Burkhardt.
One of them said,
Kevin
like, they must have gotten something in their ear. Like, I think if they keep doing this eventually, the refs could award a score. And then, like, a tenth of a second later, you hear the ref, like, Washington has been warned that the refs, like, we can award a score. So, honestly, I don't have any problem with any of the conduct in that little scenario. I think, to your point, everybody played it. Both teams and the refs played it as close to the book as you can. Obviously, the Commanders kept getting penalties, so that's not by the book, but what else are you going to do? Like you said, how else do you think you're going to stop it?
But the penalties they were taking were they were almost like Bill Belichick-esque penalties, like
risk reward,
and not just risk reward, but manipulating the rules of the game. Like, okay, I understand that this is a penalty, but it's still kind of to our benefit to just sit here and keep taking the penalties.
Because the penalty they were getting, it wasn't awarding like a first down every time. It was just the play.
It's an offside 5-yard penalty and you replay the down, right?
Yeah. So really the risk was the couple inches that they were giving up, because I mean, the Eagles were gonna score, and the only reason they wouldn't have been is if you timed that dive perfectly and like grabbed Hurts somehow with one hand or whatever and stopped him from going an inch.
And that's not unthinkable.
It's not unthinkable.
It's happened.
It's improbable. But yeah, I think it's both
improbable,
agree.
But it's not outside of the realm of possibility for sure. Yeah. So that was definitely the most interesting part of that game. And I was like, what's going to happen here? Yep. This could get interesting. And then it ended up not being interesting at all because the Eagles won 55-23 or whatever the final score was. Something like that.
I do think the Commanders showed they're going to be a contender here from now on. This wasn't a year where they signed a 1-year quarterback who was underperforming his whole career and then suddenly started playing well. Like, they did the work. They drafted the guy. They drafted the other guys.
Who are you referring to?
We don't need to talk about that. But yeah, Jaden Daniels proved throughout the whole season. I mean, it wasn't his best game in the NFC Championship game, but he proved throughout the season he is legit, and unless he gets hurt, which is the case for every other player in the NFL, they can be good unless they get hurt. I think Jaden Daniels is here to stay, and the Commanders with him will be here to stay. Dan Quinn's a good coach. He's coached another team to a Super Bowl too, so epically lost 28. Well, they held a 28-3 lead, but yeah, I think the Commanders are here to stay. I think the Eagles, I mean, you can't take anything from them. They're good. They've made Sirianni's made 2 Super Bowls in how many years? 4 years. And we're sitting here like, yeah, Kevin O'Connell, he's great. He's got 2 13-plus wins in 3 years. Okay, that doesn't mean anything ultimately at the end of the day. Sirianni, he's got 2 Super Bowls in 4 years. So it's frustrating, but the Eagles are pretty good, and they kind of proved me wrong. They paid the running back, and it definitely worked out. So I feel bad for the Commanders and their fans. I hate Eagles fans, and the ones that know who they are. They know who they are. They're awful.
Truth be told, and man, we haven't really talked about the Vikings at all. I didn't expect us to spend so much time on this because I figured we'd both be bitter about the Vikings not being in the playoffs. But no, this is good. Truth be told about Saquon Barkley is that the Eagles really poached him from a divisional rival, and the Giants were fools to let him go. Giants were fools to pay Daniel Jones as much as they did, only to watch him go. Like, what is going on in New York that they're making these types of decisions?
It's almost like watching Saquon this season is almost a fireable offense alone for all of the Giants decision makers. Like,
it's terrible.
And I would have done the same thing. I probably said on the show, like, good for the Giants for not paying him. I probably mocked the Eagles for signing him, but like, he's proving he's one of the best ones of all time. He's one of 7 or 8 players to get 2,000 rushing yards, something like that. I mean, maybe it won't work out after this season, but he's only ever proven, okay, when he's healthy, he's really good. So good for the Eagles, I guess.
He is elite. He is so good. Very good. Yeah, I mean, just makes you like salivate as a Vikings fan. Like, can we please get talent like that? Because we're used to that. I mean, we've had some really good backs in the past.
Adrian Peterson, Dalvin Cook had a few good years. Robert Smith, obviously.
So, yeah, I mean...
I pointed back. We don't have his jersey on the set anymore, Robert Smith.
It's still here.
It's still here, but not here.
It's still here.
We still got Dante over here. I don't know if that's on screen, but...
It is. It may not make it into the final cut, but that's all right. Let's talk about the other game quickly. This game... I actually kind of cared about more because I wanted Buffalo to beat Kansas City.
Yeah, me too.
And I was pretty upset with how it ended up, and I felt badly for Buffalo, for Josh Allen, for just everybody in Buffalo, fans, players, coaches. It was just a tough thing, and it felt like officiating definitely played a role in this game, which is no surprise because it's the Kansas City Chiefs, and I think the number one meme that's been circulating, and there have been so many variations, but it's just the Chiefs and the refs.
Yeah, you got to beat the refs and the Chiefs.
There's these AI-generated memes that are, Patrick Mahomes and the refs, and Andy Reid and the refs.
Doing unspeakable things.
We're a PG podcast, but
I just said it unspeakable. I didn't say but what they were doing with what and where, but...
And there's just been a whole different, a whole bunch of various types of those things. And so to say that officiating hasn't played a role in the Chiefs games at all would be like, that would just be not true because they have. And you don't win as many one-score games as they have without some help.
Same could be said about the Vikings.
True. But the Vikings... seem to still be the victims of bad officiating and not the beneficiaries more. And I know we're biased. I know we're a Vikings podcast, and people out there are probably going to say, well, there's this example and this example.
Yeah,
I know, but we could point to some examples too, like Sam Darnold getting ripped down by his face mask in the regular season against the Rams to take a safety.
Yeah.
And I think we still have a case.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I think for Bills fans in this AFC Championship game, they will definitely remember two specific plays. One, and they're both fourth down plays.
Yeah.
One being the tush push that you could, depending on the angle, depending on your thoughts, you could say, yeah, Josh Allen crossed the plane and got a first down. Or, no, I don't think he did. I'm kind of in the camp where I'm not too sure. I don't know exactly how it went down. I've seen angles where it looks plain as day. I've seen angles where it's like, he might have made it. You had a good point. Technology's everywhere. There's no reason not to have a chip in the ball. I feel like they do.
They already have chips in the ball. They just don't use them for those things.
I feel like, and I've said it before a few weeks ago, I think we are in a weird transition era where there's some growing pains between the transition from all human referees and a totally technological game calling system. I think eventually, whether it's a year from now or 20 years from now, we'll get to the point where the NFL, it's like creepy how accurate between human callers and technology, AI, whatever, how accurate those calls will get. I just think as of right now, we're in some weird growing pains where a lot of old school people are tentative to let the human control go, and maybe the technology is not 100% perfect yet, but with perfect technology, we would have known for sure if that ball crossed the plane and if Josh Allen got a first down.
And I think you raise a good point that, I think we will see some stuff. But, like, if that's going to happen, holding has to change because I don't think this justifies a penalty in the game of football, a rough and tumble, hard-hitting game. I mean... I think that has to change. And I mean, we've said it I think NFL fans have been saying it for probably 20, 30 years. You could call a holding call on every single play. It happens all the time. So I think they need to revise the rule, not not do away with it, not just say, well, it doesn't count anymore, or not, just call it more, just revise it. What constitutes a true hold? And like, I like the defensive holding that happens, like if a linebacker or a corner or a safety grabs a guy, I think, what is it, like 5 yards?
Past the 5 yard point from the line of scrimmage,
and kind of interrupts his route or whatever, like, call that. That's a perfectly acceptable call. But if it's a lineman who's just trying to do his job and he happens to just kind of hook the other guy's jersey a little bit, like, there are far more egregious things that happen with those guys and their hands when they're doing hand-to-hand combat than just simply grabbing the other guys. Like, come on, let's
maybe the answer is they make every offensive lineman just club their hands before the game. Like, you see the guy with like a broken arm and they club his hand, so he can still play, but like, it's just, he doesn't have a hand, he just has a casted club around his hand. Like, I don't know, an offensive line can still push and jab and stuff and not have access. I'm joking, obviously, but there is something like with defensive pass interference. If a quarterback throws a ball and it's pretty blatantly defensive pass interference from a defender on the receiver, but also pretty blatant that the ball was nowhere in sight. Like, it wasn't, the DPI didn't affect the actual potential catch anyways. Maybe they changed the holding call to, okay, there was a hold there, but the quarterback had already thrown the ball and like, the hold didn't affect the play at all. I don't know. Maybe there's something there. I agree with you.
I kind of wonder, I want to finish my thought, because holding, I don't know that technology, I don't know that a computer AI can like call that, but with a chip in the ball and maybe like some sort of GPS on the field, you can, like, if the line to gain is here and the ball is here, I should do this up here so people watching can see it. If the line to gain is here and the ball is here and the ball doesn't reach the line to gain, that's pretty easy on, on a computer, right? You can program a computer to say, this is where they need to get, this is where the ball ended up.
Didn't like the AAF, like one of the spring leagues from recent years, have something like that? Like,
or the UFL or the XFL or one of those.
I don't know if it was perfect, but I'm pretty sure, I think it was like the AAF, because they had like an app and you could be pretty integrated with the app. Yeah, there's something there. We live in 2025. Like, they should be able to figure it out.
Here's where I think we're headed. I think we're headed towards kind of this, like, this melting pot of the human element, an AI element, and then also kind of the like remote element, the eye in the sky, the New York, the whatever. Like, you're going to have all three of those elements combined helping to make these calls. And I think the three things combined will make the calls stronger, because your example of like a defensive pass interference, right? Like, if the ball is uncatchable and it's just kind of friendly fire, they're just kind of like, they kind of got a little handsy and then they went up to catch the ball and he didn't turn or whatever. New York could probably pretty easily say like, it would have been DPI, but the ball was uncatchable. No foul. Fine. But then, like, for matters of like where the ball is on a tush push or on a goal line situation, did he get across the goal line? Did he break the plane? Again, should be pretty easy. Like, yes, he did break the plane, or no, he did not, kind of thing. And I heard somebody make the argument, well, if they put chips in the balls and that's how you determine where the ball is, then we got to put chips in people's knees and elbows to figure out when they're down.
You're all wearing tape anyways.
I think you're just taking one less question mark away from the human element. Yes, the refs on the field and perhaps the eyes in the sky and the New Yorks will still have to make a judgment of, was the knee down, was the elbow down, but at least they'll know where the ball was. Did the ball cross the plane? Did they gain a first down with the ball? We can rule that out. Yes, the ball did cross the line, or no, it didn't. Now we look at the body parts. Did the knee or the elbow come down before the ball crossed the line? That's where the human element comes in, whether it's remote or whether it's in person. Again, I think all of those things coming together, it's going to make a much stronger officiating experience for the players, for the officials, for the fans, the coaches.
Absolutely. And if you really think about it, in our lifetimes, which we're, almost mid-30s, in our lifetimes, people were having these same bar top debates about instant replay.
Yeah, for sure.
Whether any sport, name the televised sport, everybody has said I think instant replay is good or terrible, depending on your opinions. Technology has come so far and will go so far that these arguments are going to be a moot point sooner rather than later.
To quote a movie that I quote often on this show, adapt or die. That's Billy Bean's famous line from Moneyball.
Yeah. If you're not a nerd, Brad Pitt played a general manager in a movie that Evan only watches when he's sick, which apparently you're sick all the time because
I've watched it a few times. It's really good. But baseball, to that point, has adapted, right? You have a pitch clock that is now restricting how much time a pitcher has, and it resulted in some questionable things that happened in this last season. And you have more. You still have an umpire behind the plate who's calling pitches, but everybody knows that that's going to change soon because, you have the ability to track every pitch digitally. You can watch a game in the Gamecast on the ESPN app, and you can see where every pitch was. So if we have that technology, and I can not actually watch, but tune in and follow a game on the Gamecast and see where each pitch was. Was it high? Was it low? Was it, right down the middle? Was it inside? Was it outside? How fast was it? By golly, eventually we won't need those umpires behind home plate to call balls and strikes anymore.
Yeah.
Because we're going to have computers and cameras doing it for us.
And if it's accurate, good.
Yeah.
Total tangent, and I'm sorry for stealing Skullhopper's time here. Twins catcher Ryan, I just looked it up and I already forgot it. Ryan Jeffers?
I don't really have a good sense of the Twins roster right now. So
hold on.
That's going to be your thing, not me.
This is so, it almost, Ryan Jeffers.
Okay.
I think sometime in the last week or so, last Friday, he was on the Power Trip morning show.
Okay.
He played the Initials game. If you know the Power Trip, you know the Initials game. But he was on there and talked with them for a while before the game. And they were kind of talking to him about some of the changes. And one of the guys on the Power Trip asked him, what do you think of some of the changes they're making? He's like, oh, they're awesome. They're the best thing ever. The pitch clock, apparently, at least him, and I don't know why other players wouldn't agree, they love the pitch clock, and it has dramatically improved baseball. He even said something that I didn't know. Did you know catchers and pitchers now, they have a button system? So he said he has physical buttons.
I've heard about this.
On his
call
knee.
Pitches.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's not like he's holding down a 1 between his legs.
Yeah,
or
he's
anything.
not doing the finger signs, in his crotch to signal the pitch. But I think they stopped doing that because people were stealing those signs.
Well, and Jeffers specifically said ever since the Astros, they implemented this button call system where he'll press a button and I think the catcher or the pitcher just has a headset and it says fastball, seam ball. It says whatever they say, and he said that's amazing. So
I think he can also the catcher can also inside, outside.
Yeah. They
right,
still communicate,
left.
But it's not it's harder to steal, and that's just firsthand examples from players how technology can improve the game and the product. I think they've had the buttons on the knees for catchers for a couple of years now. I had no idea. Yep. I'm not the biggest baseball fan anyways, but and I'm sure most people would say oh, I didn't know, but sure, yeah, if it helps the game, go for it.
Yeah, it's just a more discreet way to communicate and less prone to people stealing.
Yep.
And we saw that with the 2019 Astros or something like that.
Yeah, when they were banging the garbage cans.
Banging the trash cans and the whole ordeal.
Well, I don't think we planned on spending 20 minutes on referees and changing the game, but I think it was good good. It all started, I brought up the fourth down that ultimately was called not a first down on the field.
And you didn't even mention the second play.
Yeah, the second play. That's where I was going.
Controversial.
So the Bills remember 2 plays, that fourth down non-conversion, which whoever you are, it might be a conversion. The bigger play for me was that last fourth down attempt, the desperation pass attempt, basically ended the game where Josh Allen took the snap, looked up, and he had a blitzing cornerback right in his face right away, untouched. And he kind of ran around and threw a desperation pass. And on TV, it kind of looked like, okay, he just threw the ball away. But out of nowhere, is it Dalton Kincaid?
Yeah.
Because Dawson Knox is their other tight end, I think. Anyways, out of nowhere, Kincaid comes and dives and cradles the ball. It's in his arms. He could have made that catch pretty easily after he made a tough dive and pretty heads up play to get to where he needed to be, and he couldn't haul it in. But that catch would have put them right on the edge of field goal range and definitely would have kept their drive alive. The game would have kept going. That's the one for me. That's the bigger play.
Oh, for sure.
And if it were the Vikings, that's the one as a fan I would remember forever now.
My wife wasn't really paying attention. She wanted the Bills to win too, just like I did. And we were watching it, and she was doing something else. I think she had headphones in and was listening to something else. And I turned it off, and she's like, "Who won?" I'm like, "The Chiefs." And she's like, "But it was so close, and the Bills had the ball." And I'm like, "Yeah." And then they didn't convert on a fourth down, and then she's like, "But there was still a minute and a half left in the game." I'm like, "But the Bills didn't have any timeouts, and the Chiefs had the ball. All they needed to do is kneel it 2 times, and the game's over."
Yep.
She's like, "Really? That's how it can end?" I'm like,
"You can't stop the clock." Yeah.
Yep, that's how it works. So yeah, I turned it off. I didn't even watch the Chiefs kneel the ball. I didn't need to see any of that.
I watched it, but yeah, I mean, you didn't miss anything. But all that to say, Kansas City has the opportunity to win their 3rd straight Super Bowl. And one of the other 2 that they won, I believe, was also against the Eagles, correct? Or was that... Because they had one year where they missed it.
Yeah, I mean, they've been in the Super Bowl, like 3 of the last 4 years now?
Yeah, because Mahomes has 3 wins and 1 loss in the Super Bowl.
And I think this is a repeat of what, like 3
just
or
like
4
2
years ago?
Yeah, not too long ago.
2 years ago, 2023. Yeah. It was the Rihanna halftime show.
Oh, okay. Well, goes to show you pay way more attention to the halftime show than the actual game. Good job, Ben. But yeah, the Chiefs have the chance to be the first ever three-peat team, whereas the Eagles, I mean, Jalen Hurts has the opportunity to get his first Super Bowl. Sirianni, their coach, obviously Saquon Barkley. A lot of guys have a chance to win their first Super Bowl. And I don't know who I want to lose more.
Well, yeah, that's the first tweet of our Skol Patrol segment here. If you had to choose, would you rather see Patrick Mahomes make history with a three-peat, and by extension the Chiefs, but mostly Patrick Mahomes because he seems to be the face of the franchise.
And Andy Reid and Taylor Swift. And, sorry, Travis Kelce.
Or would you rather see Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley get their first Super Bowl rings? This was a tweet today from SportsCenter. Which way do you lean? You have to pick one. You don't even have to really care or justify it. Just pick one. Which way do you lean?
I don't really care too much. There's good people and players on each team. I feel like I want Eagles fans to lose another Super Bowl more than I want anybody to win it. So I guess I'm rooting for the Chiefs.
Wow. All right. Yeah. I think I'm on the other side of this. Right. I know the Eagles fans don't have a very good reputation.
What?
I know that. I understand that. And I know that they don't treat Vikings fans very well.
Any fans? Have you seen videos from this Commanders game yesterday?
Yep. I've seen it. I know. I understand. The players on the field, I think, are better men than the fans that fill their stadiums. I think those players deserve a championship. I like Jalen Hurts. I think he's a good guy. I think he's a good quarterback. We've already spent a little bit of time talking about Saquon Barkley. Man, what a transition he's made from the dumpster of a franchise that he was a part of to now on the cusp of winning a Super Bowl just a year later. It's crazy. And you've got to admire that. You've got to admire his hard work. I don't want to see a three-peat. I don't want the Chiefs to become this insufferable franchise to say we were the only team to ever win 3 in a row.
They're already insufferable.
They are. Both franchises really are, to be fair.
The Chiefs are the definition of you either die the hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Because just a few years ago, the Chiefs were the Lions. You know, they were the team that the whole country was like, yeah, I want to see the Chiefs do it. They've never won it. And here we are, 4 or 5 years later, and it's like, ugh.
I was rooting for the Chiefs
again.
I was rooting for them back then. I was on that side. But yeah, they're definitely now the villain in my eyes. And the Taylor Swift storylines haven't helped. The Boondele Save commercials haven't helped at all.
My kids won't stop saying that.
Bundle-rooski.
The Bundle-rooski, because the Boondele Save is Aiden Hutchinson.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But
that's
the
Bundle-rooski.
My middle daughter, she went for like a week. Bundle-rooski, like she just kept saying it. She's also the only one that really watches football with me, so I guess I can't complain too much. But
well, another tweet that I found today, and this one isn't anything new, it's just something that I came across today, was the Kirk Cousins curse.
Yeah.
So no team has ever lost to Kirk Cousins in the regular season and then gone on to win the Super Bowl, which applies to the Eagles.
Yeah. I think it was the Eagles that changed that stat a couple of years ago, because it was no team had ever lost to Kirk Cousins and made the Super Bowl. But then 2022, because the Vikings in week 2 of that year lost to the Eagles on a short week, and then the Eagles went on to go to the Super Bowl. So now it's changed to what you just said.
I think you had it slightly backwards. The Vikings beat the Eagles in week 2 of that season, right? Because no team has ever lost to Kirk Cousins and won the Super Bowl. That's the stat, right?
Maybe I have it totally wrong. You're right. I'm wrong. I'm dumb. You're smart.
I don't remember 2022. That was a while ago for me.
I think so. The Vikings did go to Philly
and lost
on a short week in week 2 and lost, but I think I'm misremembering a couple of things. But either way, the official stat is no team has ever lost to Kirk Cousins and then that year gone on to win the Super Bowl. Yeah.
And I think that didn't apply to the Bucks a few years ago, the Tom Brady Bucks.
Maybe that's what it was.
It could have been because I think the Vikings beat the Tom Brady Bucks, right? I could be remembering that wrong too.
Somebody that just Googled it is thinking we're gigantic idiots right now.
We have computers in front of us. We could totally look it up, but we're authentic here and we don't make stuff up. Anyways, I think the stat is still legit. You can fact check us for sure, but that would be kind of funny if the Eagles lost, and I think it's definitely a realistic possibility. I think either team, honestly, could win this game. The Chiefs have proven that they're not like blowout worthy offense or defense this year. Like they've played in 1-score games all season. They barely won some of their regular season games.
Yeah. They were really similar to the Vikings in a lot of ways this year.
Yeah.
It's just, credit to them. They kept winning. Yeah, I looked it up, and we've already wasted too much time on it, but that stat used to be no team has ever lost to Kirk Cousins and made the Super Bowl, but it was last year's 49ers who changed that stat.
Okay, there it is.
Because the Vikings beat the Niners, and then the Niners still went on to attend the Super Bowl, which changed that stat from go to the Super Bowl to win the Super Bowl, because the Niners obviously lost last year. But again, we just spent way too much time on that. But yeah, it's a funny stat. It's one that I'll always kind of remember a little bit too. Just like I'll always remember for a while that KOC was like 21-0 when his team wins the turnover battle or something. Yeah.
And that fell apart this year because we lost the turnover battle, or won the turnover battle, but lost the game.
Yep.
Yeah, all those like kind of quirky little stats went out the door.
I will say though, 2024 was not the year for Kirk Cousins unless you're his bank account, which I guess that's really all that matters. Like, Super Bowls are fun, but like so is $200 million or whatever he signed for. So
to sit on the bench and watch Michael Penix take over at the end of the season.
So I mean, maybe this is also the year that stat totally dies. It half died last year. Maybe the Eagles pull it out and they kill that stat forever. But yeah.
Well, here's what I think we do to finish things out. We had another segment, but I think we saved that.
I'm on board with that.
I think we saved that. I don't think we even reveal what that was.
Maybe we can reveal that segment may end up becoming like
a series,
9 to 10 episodes. Like that might shape our off season.
I wouldn't be opposed to that at all. But I think we go out on a good note here.
Yeah.
You shared with me, and we'll pull this up. I'm not sure how well this will translate on like stuff, but we'll also put the link out there too. Yeah. I'm not going to play the audio because it would kind of wreck what we're doing, but you sent me this TikTok today. Mm-hmm. And at first it took me a second to really kind of figure out what was going on. And if I hadn't read the caption, I would have been like, what does this have to do with anything? Mm-hmm. But JJ McCarthy and some other dude go to this pizza shop, and they're kind of joking with the guy like, hey, make us 1,000 pizza. And the guy's like, I don't have enough food to make that much, but I'll make you what I can. Mm-hmm. And so that he makes like 13 pizzas or something, and says, I can it'd be about like $200 worth of pizza, but I can cut you a deal, $150 worth of pizza. JJ McCarthy hands the dude this big wad of cash that looked like way more than $200 worth, and daps the guy up. He's like, man, we really appreciate what you do. And then it cuts to JJ and this other guy, whoever owns the channel, I'm guessing, going out there and handing out these pizzas to random people. I'm assuming maybe some needy people on the streets. And it was just it was a really cool thing, heartwarming thing. I'm assuming it took place in the Minneapolis area.
So we can shout out the guy whose account it was. So I've seen this guy's video, the other guy that wasn't JJ McCarthy. I've seen him on TikTok quite a bit. His tag is, why did I just blank on that, is it's all one word, JoshLilJ. So JoshLilJ on TikTok and probably every other platform too. I think most of his videos is he goes to these like hometown, like mom and pop restaurants and, or breweries or wherever, and gets like a plate of food, one order of food, whether it's a pizza or mac and cheese or wings or something. And when whoever it is handing, the waiter or whatever is handing it to him, he's always like, oh, thanks. How much is that? And it's usually like 10, 15, 20 bucks, whatever. And then he's like, okay, can I get 1,000 of them? Or can I get 500 of them? And the person's always like, well, what? I mean, I guess. And he's like, no, seriously, like as many as you can make. I want that many pizzas or burgers or whatever he's getting. And they're always like, okay, give me some time. And then, And then, the next thing that he shows in his videos is like, okay, thanks. He's getting the food and he's paying for it. And he's like, yeah, these, I'm going to go out and give these to the hungry, the homeless, the needy, whatever. And most of the time, whoever owns the restaurant is like, oh, you're giving these to hungry people? Like, oh no, I got the bill. You don't owe me anything. Or they'll give him a big discount or whatever. And it's always, and it's not every time, but he's always like, oh, that's awesome, man. That's so cool. And then the video ends with him going around and giving pizzas or burgers or whatever he had got to people on the street, people who were homeless. And today was the first time I hit follow on him. I've seen his videos pop up on my For You page a few times. I didn't realize he's in the Minneapolis area until today. And yeah, like you said, this one, he got a pizza. He said, okay, can I get 500 of them? And the guy's like, I can't do that, but I can probably do like 50. And they do the whole exchange. He's about to pay his deal of $150. And then out of nowhere, JJ walks up. He's like, no. To the pizza owner. And it's like, you're a good dude. You got a great story. I wish I knew the pizza shop, for the 4 people that are listening. And JJ, like you said, hands him, he doesn't say, I'm JJ McCarthy and I'm handing you $1,000, but he just walks up and just hands him a bunch of money and says, pizza owner, you're a good dude, your story's great. And then the video ends with JJ McCarthy and the JoshLilJ guy walking around giving free pizzas away, which is super cool.
It is super cool, and super cool that JJ, number one, paid for it and offered more than whatever the original asking price was. But then two, just went out with this guy and like helped pass him out. Like, it's one thing to just fork over a wad of cash and then walk away. It's another thing to go out and actually like interact with people and just be a good person. So it was definitely like the most heartwarming thing that came out from Vikings world today. And I didn't know all of what you just said about this JoshLilJ guy. Didn't really have any background. I've only ever watched the one video you sent me today of him with JJ McCarthy passing out pizza. But
yeah, he seems like a good dude. Go down the rabbit hole, watch that dude's videos. It makes you feel good, and it's just all feel good stuff. He helps people and he feeds people, and he pays for it. And yes, he's got like 8 million followers on TikTok. Yeah, he's probably making a bunch of money, but he's also, unless it's like all evil behind the scenes, which I don't think it is, he's helping people and putting some good out there. Also in that video, JJ, it's not like he walks up wearing his number 9 jersey. It's not like he walks up saying, "Hey, I'm JJ McCarthy." Honestly, he walks up wearing a too big sweatshirt and a beanie that's covering most of his face. Like, you could watch that whole video like I did the first time and not really realize, like, oh, why is JJ McCarthy tagged in this? Like, he just kind of shows up out of nowhere and does his part to help out too. So it's really cool.
And JJ, like, as a part of his rehab and stuff, he's kind of lost some weight. So he has a little bit of a different facade than he did when he was first drafted. And hopefully he can recover that a little bit. And
if he's fully healthy, he's got some time with dedication to put that weight back on and still be athletic.
For sure.
Yeah.
Anyways, a nice way to round out our Skol Patrol segments. Yeah. There's some good stuff out there on the internet, and obviously there's also a Super Bowl coming up that could be fine, could be kind of boring. We'll just kind of have to wait and see in the next couple of weeks.
Couple things. If our listeners and viewers want to send us some examples of the good stuff that's happening out there on the internet, how could people reach out to us, contact us?
Got a lot of ways you could do that. Social media, we're out there. Facebook, Instagram, obviously TikTok, we just referenced one. Twitter, I'd say those are kind of the big 4 that we're probably the most active on. We hopped on the Blue Sky train early on. We're out there as well.
We're out there anytime I post the episode reviews, or like our episode announcements at least, are on Blue Sky. But
I'd say we're probably on a handful of other platforms too. You can find us there. We got a website, theskolhop.com. You can find us there. You can email us, which seems like snail mail or like sending a carrier pigeon at this point in time, but we're still there, and you can email us too, theskolhop@gmail.com. We're very much in the like free category of things right now. We're not trying to pay for a bunch of stuff like domains. But yeah, we're out there, and just Google us. I mean, truthfully, if you're interested in following us, but you're not sure where, just Google us and then pick your favorite one, and we're probably out there. And if we're not, send us an email or send us a message on a different one. And if you want to follow us somewhere else, we'll look into it for sure.
For sure. Also, we do have some merch out there. Evan's sporting our Skol Hop hooded sweatshirt over there.
I've also got my t-shirt on underneath.
Nice. We have a couple designs of t-shirts.
Oh, no, just kidding. I thought I was wearing it, but it's not. And then I saw it and I was like, nope, that's not it.
Just kidding.
It's okay.
We can edit that out. I love when podcasts are like, we'll edit that out, and then they never do. And you're sitting there listening like, we don't edit.
We don't edit stuff like that out.
We'll edit this whole part out, okay?
I'm the editor, and I probably won't do that. And that's okay.
But yeah, if you're interested in merch at all, we've got a few options out there. We are both sporting some new Skol Hop hats that are kind of custom made, but if you see these and you're interested, let us know. We can probably figure something out. If you like us, let us know, and we're out there. Yeah.
What'd you think of this beer that you brought for us?
It was really good. It was a nice, easy drinker. Like I said, 6.2%. So after 2 of them, not really feeling too awful. I'm feeling pretty good. and I'll wake up tomorrow feeling perfectly fine. Flavor was great. I thoroughly enjoyed every sip of this beer, and I will get it again.
Are you excited about a dessert cake stupid sour next week? Because I'm pretty sure that's what I'm going to get.
I'm going to directly compare it to this, and if it's not better than this, then I don't want it.
That's fair. Big Grove, this is a really good beer. I liked it. I'm not trying to detract from your beer at all. I keep seeing stuff at the store, and I'm like, we should try that.
Yeah.
That's all
I am interested in the name. Big Grove, was this named after that musical? Because, I don't know, Into the Woods could be like a scavenging little tidbit because it's raspberries and blackberries or whatever, but yeah, I don't know, it's an interesting name. The can looks really cool. I like it.
Yeah, it definitely stands out like on the shelf, and you're looking at beers and you're like, oh, that one looks interesting. So I've seen this before, and I've thought about getting it for us and just haven't pulled the trigger yet. And you did. You beat me to it. Yeah, I would share similar sentiments. Very good. Fruity, a little bit sour, but not like so sour that I would never reach for it again. Yeah. It's pretty good.
As a Minnesota Wild fan, like I would directly like display this can up with other Minnesota Wild memorabilia. We're obviously a Vikings podcast, but if there was some like purple and gold equivalent to this design, it would fit perfectly on our set. So
for sure.
Is somebody a Minnesota Wild fan? Is that why they designed this can, or is it just happy luck? I don't know. I really like this beer a lot. Because sour, I guess, Kettle sour. So
yeah. Well, do we have anything else? We've got like probably a full year's worth of content that we could have talked about and didn't.
I don't know about a year, but definitely an off season. Probably. And keep your eyes peeled. We might be talking about another edition of a Skol Hop beer in the not too distant future.
It is in the works.
Yeah.
Coming up. Actually, probably sooner than we can count.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Yeah.
For
Thanks to friend of the show, Forrest. It's coming like Will the Thrill.
Will the Thrill. He was coming for a minute there, and then he got hurt, and then...
So anyways, all right, man, this was a fun episode.
He's going to get back to it next year.
He will. It'll be a long time before he gets a haircut. So
that's right.
Till next time. Skol.
Skol.
Hey Vikings fans, Evan here from the Skol Hop, and we just wanted to say thank you again so much for listening to the Skol Hop, and we also wanted to take one more opportunity to let you know that this episode of the Skol Hop has been brought to you by Big Top Ventures. If you're considering taking an all-inclusive trip to either Mexico or Jamaica, reach out to our friends at Big Top Ventures at bigtopventuresllc@gmail.com. Once again, that's bigtopventuresllc@gmail.com. You can get the lowest rate possible on several all-inclusive resorts throughout the region. Big Top Ventures. Step right up to your next big adventure. And thanks again for listening to the Skol Hop.